Hello everyone. Today I will tell you the story of a great man, Rabindranath Tagore. He was a poet, writer, artist, thinker, and educationist. He was born on May 7, 1861, in Kolkata, India, in a big and rich family. His house was called Jorasanko Thakur Bari. His family was rich, respected, and full of artists and thinkers. His father, Rabindranath Tagore, was a famous philosopher and leader of the Brahmo Samaj, a religious reform movement. His mother, Sarada Devi, was kind and spiritual. Rabindranath was the youngest of 13 children. Their house was always full of music, discussion, visitors, and creativity. From a very young age, Rabindranath was different. While other children played games, he loved to look at trees, watch the sky, and write poems. He didn't like strict or boring schools. Later in life, he said that schools felt like prisons to him. So, he mostly studied at home, learning from private tutors and the world around him. He wrote his first poem when he was only 8 years old. By the age of 16, he was already writing in newspapers and magazines using the name Banasimha. He was a quiet boy with deep thoughts. He often sat near windows, writing poetry and dreaming. Nature was his first teacher. Trees, rivers, and birds spoke to him in a language of love. In 1878, when he was 17, his father sent him to England to study law. He joined University College London. His family hoped he would become a lawyer, but Tagore's heart was not in law books. He loved music, theatre, and English poetry more than anything else. He learned a lot from the West. He was inspired by Shakespeare, Shelley, and Wordsworth. But he missed home. After about 2 years, he returned to India without completing his degree. After coming back from England, Rabindranath did not study law anymore. He stayed in Bengal, managed family land, and spent his time writing. Slowly, he became one of the greatest writers in Bengali literature. He wrote many short stories about simple people, farmers, workers, children, and old people. He showed their feelings, pain, love, and dreams. These stories were short, but very beautiful and emotional. Some of his most famous stories are Kabulawala, a story about a man from Afghanistan and a little girl. The Postmaster, about a young man working in a village. The Homecoming, a sad story of a boy who ran away from home. He also wrote novels like Choka Bali, about women's love and sorrow. Gora, a story about religion and identity. The Home and the World, Gare Bear, about freedom, politics, and love. Tagore wrote with deep thought and heart. He did not just tell stories. He made people think and feel. Tagore also wrote many poems. He loved nature, God, and the soul. His poems were simple but full of feeling. He wrote over 2,000 songs, which are known as Rabindra Sangeet. These songs are about love and beauty, nature and peace, sadness and death, joy and hope, prayer and God. His songs are still sung in India and Bangladesh every day. People love them because they touch the heart. In 1901, Rabindranath started a school in a quiet village called Santiniketan, meaning abode of peace. He wanted children to learn in a natural and free way, not by force or fear. At his school, there were no strict rules or punishments. Students sat under trees and learned poetry, music, drawing, and science. He believed that learning should bring joy, not pressure. This small school later became the famous Visva Bharati University. Tagore was not just a writer. He was also a thinker, a teacher, and a spiritual person. He did not believe in narrow ideas. He believed in love, truth, and freedom, for all people, everywhere. Though he lived a simple life, his thoughts were big and powerful. In 1912, Tagore traveled to England again. This time, he brought with him a small book of poems. It was his own work, translated into English, from his famous Bengali poetry book called Gitanjali, Song Offerings. The poems were full of spiritual beauty, love for God, nature, and truth. A famous English poet, W.B. Yeats, read the poems and was deeply touched. He helped publish them in London. The book became popular in Europe and America. People said Tagore's words felt like prayers in poetry. In 1913, Tagore won the Nobel Prize in Literature, the first Asian person to ever receive this honor. Tagore was now known all over the world. But he stayed humble and simple. He said the prize was not just for him, but for Bengali literature and India. After winning the Nobel Prize, Tagore traveled to many countries. He visited Japan, China, America, Argentina, England, France, Germany, Iran, Russia, and more. He gave speeches, met writers, scientists, kings, and common people. He spoke about peace, education, freedom, and human unity. He told people everywhere, "We are not only Indians or Chinese or Americans. We are all human beings." In Germany, Tagore met the famous scientist Albert Einstein. They had long talks about truth, science, and the soul. In Argentina, he became friends with a rich woman named Victoria Ocampo. She respected his work and helped translate it into Spanish. In every country, people listened to Tagore with respect. They called him a sage, a messenger of peace, and a friend of the world. Even though he became famous, Tagore never forgot his dream of better education. He worked hard to grow his small school at Santiniketan. In 1921, it became a university. He named it Visva Bharati, which means, the world as one nest. In this university, students from India and other countries came to learn together. There were no strict rules, no fear. Learning was through nature, art, music, and free thinking. Tagore said, "Education must help us grow in freedom, love, and truth." Great people like Mahatma Gandhi, Einstein, and many world leaders visited Visva Bharati. It became a symbol of open-minded learning. Tagore was not only a poet and teacher, he was also a musician and artist. He wrote more than 2,000 songs, which are now called Rabindranath Tagore. These songs express every feeling, love, devotion, joy, pain, nature, and hope. His songs are still sung in homes, schools, and concerts in India and Bangladesh. At the age of 60, Tagore started painting. He had no formal training, but his art was bold and different. He painted faces, animals, dreams, and imaginary figures. European artists admired his work. His paintings were shown in Germany, France, and England. Tagore believed that art and life were not separate. He said, "Everything in life is art, if it comes from the soul." Dove, a voice for freedom and humanity. Even though Tagore was a poet and teacher, he was also deeply involved in India's freedom movement. But he had his own way of thinking. He supported freedom from British rule, but he also believed that true freedom means freedom of the mind and soul, not just political power. He said, "We must free ourselves not just from foreign rule, but from fear, hate, and narrow thinking." In 1919, a terrible event shocked the country, the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. British soldiers killed hundreds of innocent people. Tagore was deeply hurt. In protest, he gave up his British knighthood. He wrote a strong letter to the British government, saying, "The time has come when badges of honor make our shame deeper." This made him a hero of truth and justice in the eyes of many Indians. Tagore had a deep respect for Mahatma Gandhi. He called him Mahatma, great soul, before anyone else did. They both wanted India to be free, but they had different ideas. Gandhi believed in boycotts and self-rule through protest. Tagore believed in education, spiritual growth, and global friendship. Sometimes they disagreed, but they always respected each other. Gandhi said, "I may not read Tagore's poems, but I hear them in my heart." In the 1930s, Tagore became old and weak. His health slowly began to fail. But he did not stop working. He wrote poems, songs, essays, and painted until his last days. He even wrote about science, philosophy, and the universe in his final years. His last poems spoke about death, but in a peaceful, spiritual way. He saw death not as an end, but as a return to the great light of life. On August 7, 1941, Rabindranath Tagore passed away in the same house where he was born, Jorasanko Thakur Bari in Kolkata. All of India mourned. Thousands of people came to see him one last time. The country lost its greatest poet, its teacher, its guiding soul. Rabindranath Tagore left behind a world of beauty. He wrote over 2,000 songs, 2,000 poems, 8 novels, dozens of short stories, dramas, essays, and letters. He started Visva Bharati University, which is still active today. He composed 3 national anthems: India, Jana Gana Mana; Bangladesh, Amar Shonar Bangla; and Sri Lanka. No other person in the world has done that. His songs are sung every day. His words are quoted in schools, books, and speeches. His ideas are taught in universities. His vision of love, unity, and peace lives on. Tagore taught us to love nature and beauty, to think freely, to respect all human beings, to mix tradition with modern ideas, to search for God inside the soul, not outside. He once said, Let your life lightly dance on the edges of time, like dew on the tip of a leaf. Rabindranath Tagore was more than just a writer. He was a light for the world, a soul of India, and a friend of humanity. He taught us that the pen is stronger than the sword, and that art can heal the world. Even today, many years after his death, his voice is still with us, in his songs, in his poems, and in every heart that seeks truth and love.